will face if he's confirmed by the Senate. Cecilia?
Okay, Terry, thank you. It is going to be a huge day in Washington, and joining us now is a key member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Democrat Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator Coons, thank you so much for joining us on this very busy day. Let's go right back to that extraordinary op-ed published overnight written by Judge Kavanaugh. He says, quote, "I was very emotional last Thursday, more so than I have ever been. I might have been too emotional at times, and I said a few things I should not have said." You had said he crossed a line during his testimony last Thursday. Do you accept this mea culpa from Judge Kavanaugh?
It was clear to me that Judge Kavanaugh came out of the gates last Friday very emotional, very raw, very angry. But he said things that he should not have. As a sitting federal circuit court judge, he knew better than to engage in an aggressive partisan attack, not just on Democrats, but on folks who opposed him. And as he pointed out to us at the beginning of his testimony last Friday, he himself had carefully written it and reviewed it. That was a planned slam at the Democrats on the committee, and I frankly think he crossed a line in terms of judicial behavior and showed us things about his temperament that I think the undecided senators ought to be weighing very carefully today.
Let's go back to this supplemental report by the FBI. You've now read it. Do you acknowledge that it does not contain any new evidence that brings credibility to the allegations of sexual assault or misconduct raised by Dr. Ford or Deborah Ramirez?
Well, you can't find what you don't look for. There were a few people interviewed, and they were the people who were potential eyewitnesses to both incidents. But both Debbie Ramirez and Dr. Ford came forward when they were interviewed in Ramirez's case or when they testified to the committee and tried to offer additional corroborating witnesses who were never interviewed. My office has heard from many of them. They're now out in press reports trying to give statements. I would agree that the materials that I read did not provide direct corroboration, but there were a dozen, 24 other witnesses who were not interviewed. And so I was disappointed in the scope of this interview, and I was disappointed in the scope of the materials. This is not the investigation that I thought the FBI would do and that the American people deserve.
But you're taking issue with the scope, but Senator, this was your idea. You are the one who proposed this one-week pause.
That's correct. Absolutely. And I'm grateful to my friend Jeff Flake for being the person who helped make it happen. I appreciate that we did pause for a week while there was an FBI investigation. The scope was set by the Republican majority in the Senate and then conveyed to the FBI by the White House counsel. So the idea that we should have an FBI investigation where for a week they followed all the leads for the current credible allegations in front of the committee was something I enthusiastically supported and called for. I don't think that's the work product that's in front of us. I am not blaming the FBI. I'm simply saying that the scope of this additional background investigation was too narrow for there to be corroborated evidence for Dr. Ford or for Debbie Ramirez.
Final question
is, Judge, nothing in this report. Yes.
Final question, sir. Is Judge Kavanaugh going to be the next Supreme Court justice?
I don't know. Several of my friends who are undecided have not returned my calls in the last day, and that typically is a way a senator tells you they're busy deciding. I think this will be very close. And we'll have to find out later today, this morning, when we get to the Senate and vote.
Senator Coons, thank you. Robin?